It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Yeah, we're not afraid here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, each and every day from the beautiful studios of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com here in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, well, I tell you, we just had some television crews here interviewing us in studio about the opt-out day, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then we have some other crews that will be coming down from Fox that'll want to talk to us, and what do we know? Well, I don't know. You need to go to Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com. I tell you, the main thing that we're doing is going to make you wait. You guys got to wait till the top of the next hour, and we'll talk all about it because I don't want to repeat it, when they're doing interviews. But we got in-studio guest. We have Mark Stevens, and it's Mark, M-A-R-C, Stevens, STEVENS.net, right?
That's it.
Now, Mark Stevens is going to be one of the speakers and presenters at the Freedom Summit, freedomsummit.com. We keep making sure that you guys get kind of a little teaser for each one of these speakers because, it's a really big shoe. And to the listeners of the program, just go and register as student. Yeah, we're all students. We want to make sure we get that because we're doing a lot of advertising on the Clear Channel station here. We want to make sure that we have a bunch of us there because we're of a different mindset and we want to make sure we enjoy ourselves. And we are going to be a great inspiration to a lot of people that need it. Well, one of the speakers, Mark Stevens, welcome to the show, Mark.
Well, thanks, Ernie.
One thing, let's go ahead and go on to the people. We're going to have you on Sunday, along with all the no statists, the voluntarists, the whatever leave me aloneists, and I want to make sure that the audience kind of gets an idea who you are, what you're going to be presenting, and the kind of information that they may get.
So Sunday is the voluntarist day.
Yeah.
All right.
I get one? Can I have one?
Well, of course.
I want one.
I got to tell you, when you sent the email out about and what you just said about advertising on a Clear Channel station, that's going to be an interesting time because not your typical libertarian voluntarist or agorist crowd. Well, I'm sure we're going to have them, but
they're coming around. The morning show is done by a gentleman named Jim Sharp, and you'll hear a lot of his commercials on this network. And he's been a good friend of mine for over a decade, long time. And his whole thing is that he was the MC at our first summit 3 weeks after 9/11 in 2001. So he's been a good libertarian for a long time, representing the philosophy on the Clear Channel. There's always the token libertarian around somewhere. It's getting to be that way, And he's a really good guy, and he's very creative in how he presents it without compromise. And so we're going to have a great summit like we always do. Anyone that's gone to our summits, they know. And so what are you going to be presenting to the people when you do your presentation to the crowd?
Well, because of this new audience that's going to be there's going to be probably a good mix of people that are really not familiar with the materials. I'm going to go through a little bit of the foundational stuff. So a little bit like what I did at Libertopia, go through some of the foundational stuff and show why we're doing what we're doing. We're just not ranting and raving. And because most people who know you, I'm sure, at least I would not say you're angry. You don't like what's going on, but you don't stomp around ranting and raving. So I want to give people an idea, new to the material, why we oppose government. And from a morality standpoint, it's wrong. I mean, it's just wrong to take things that just because you think you're entitled to them. And so then from there go into what we're doing on the show, and more of the activism and what we're doing using nonviolent non-cooperation to bring about a voluntary society.
Well, define a voluntary society. We're going on talking about voluntary society is as what?
Well, voluntary society is where it is not, the concept is not accepted that we presently have, that it is okay to steal, lie and kill in order to, under the guise of protecting somebody. So the idea that you have to have government, as we know it, that it's a service that is supported on a compulsory basis, pay or get shot, that particular idea is no longer accepted. And so that if somebody wants protection, I'll pay you for it on a mutual voluntary basis.
Well, a lot of the people that have been following we've been following your work since '03. This has been, a progression. During that time, a lot of people, they'll expect, see, I have the secret weapon, Mark said so, and I go into court and na. Well, that's not really how it works. I mean, you really need to paper the file. You need to make sure that you get your standing, you got the right venue and jurisdiction, and ask the right questions. Because if you're really going to out them for what they are and how this all works, you have to know what you're doing, and you got to be willing to go through the process. Not everybody, they just want a silver bullet, so that they can just do what they want without really understanding the process. Well, you help them understand the process. Explain the process.
Well, the process is, look, they're bluffing. You know that they're not there to protect you. We get that. And so what I do is what you call the process, or the way I do things, is just a way of calling their bluff. That's all you're doing. It's just asking questions. You don't go in and say, oh, there's a conflict of interest here and this isn't fair. You ask, well, you're saying that in the form of a question. So what you do is you bring them through a series of questions that they're not magic, but you want to say, you're getting to a certain goal. So I don't want to say you have to say this, but you're bringing the judge through a certain series of questions to make him commit to certain things, like you're entitled to a fair trial. You can't get a fair trial if there's a conflict of interest. Then you ask him a question such as, who do you represent here? And what that does, that really guts the whole presumption of legitimacy that he has. He can't make it look good anymore from that point forward. So whether he throws your ticket out or doesn't makes the case that you're calling his bluff. So everyone in the room with half a brain in their head knows that this guy's a con man.
Well, the one thing that I want to make sure that people understand is the reason you do this is for the education of the individual or the education of the court, or to out something, because when you look at, you had a success, what do you base that on? What is a success in your mind? How is that done?
The success in my mind is that the person under attack is left alone. And I say in the book, and I say on the radio show most of the time, it's all about damage control. When a bureaucrat enters your life, you're being damaged. You don't want to deal with it. So you're being damaged. So we're trying to limit that damage and have the person under attack not be under attack anymore. And it's for the benefit of everybody involved. I want the people that are watching this to be educated and say, they may not understand exactly why the judge is freaking out or why the judge is throwing the ticket out after asking 2-3 questions. But they're going to usually ask questions of the person who did this. And so he'll walk out, like JT, who my co-host, when he did it by asking 3 questions, a whole bunch of people followed him out, want to know what just happened. So that gives an opportunity for him to explain what just happened.
Well, I tell you, when we come back, we'll talk about, I just got a ticket. What shall I do? Or should I just suck it up and, I got other, swords to fall on. But, the thing is, what it was is just as we were leaving the studio, I was checking my email at the light. Well, I saw an SUV behind me, an officer, a policeman. He was behind me. I felt so much safer. So I didn't take off fast enough getting through it because I was, doing my phone, taking my messages. And, because I didn't sprint as like in New York City. Honk! He didn't honk. But, I didn't take off fast enough. And he could see I was writing something on the steering wheel. So he pulled me over.
Oh.
So I got a ticket. Oh, what shall we do? What shall we do? Well, we're going to find out here on Declare Your Independence when we come back after the break. A simple situation like $200. I could go take classes, And if we go ahead and challenge something like this for the education, should I do that? I have in the past. I went through my process and, been a butthead. But, is now the time to do that? I don't know. I got a couple of weeks to decide. Might do something and then see how it goes. Would it be to my long-term advantage? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out, and maybe you'll learn something. We'll talk more with Mark Stevens, M-A-R-C, Mark Stevens, We'll be right back.